Hey, my name is Taylor Coy, and I am the director of the undergraduate apartments.
Hey guys, I'm Savannah Frost, and I am the director of Hearth Hall.
Today we are going to be covering the policies and procedures that you will follow as an RA.
So before we get into actual policies and procedures, what are policies and procedures? Policies and procedures are laid out by the university, and as an RA, it's your job to uphold these policies. Policies can change every single year, so you have to make sure to be up to date with that and knowing that so that you can enforce that.
The drug and alcohol policy at the University of the Cumberlands is a zero tolerance policy for both drugs and alcohol on campus. So if a resident returns to campus under the influence, if they're over 21 and they're not out of control or a danger to themselves or others, that's totally fine and you can let them go on their way. But if they're being out of control or you suspect that they're underage, then you need to call the on-duty RHD to come help assist the situation.
So our tobacco policy, this one's pretty simple. Tobacco simply cannot be used in the residence halls. This includes cigarettes, cigars, pipes, hookahs, electronic cigarettes, vapor devices, chewing tobacco, nothing. You just can't have it. All tobacco products have to be at least 15 feet away from any building entrance. So if you see anyone outside closer than that, you can tell them and you should tell them. It's just not allowed.
Okay, so here is kind of the flow that you would follow if you suspect that there is a student that's drinking and underage. So first you're going to contact your RHD immediately. Then you are going to ask them to come to the office and just have a seat. Just be direct with them. Ask them if they've been drinking. Regardless of whether or not they admit to drinking or not, you just have to let them know that the university policy is to administer a breathalyzer test, and you are just going to wait for the RHD to come, and then they will administer that and take it from there.
So let's talk about parking lot procedures, what to do if there is some sort of incident in a parking lot, whether it be a car accident or someone parked illegally. You need to know what you're going to do and be prepared for that. So if there is a car accident, if it involves an injury, the first thing you need to do is call 911. And the second thing you would need to do would be call a director, and then they'll get the ball rolling from there. But if there is an injury, make sure to call 911 first thing. If there is not an injury, immediately call the on-duty director with the name of every student involved, and they'll get the ball rolling from there. If a student would like a police report, Res Life can help them file one, and Bach Building can radio a campus police officer. If a student is parked illegally, so a little less serious than a car accident, notify the RHD on duty with the license plate number and the description of the car, and they'll get that taken care of.
So for illness and injury procedures, if you find out that one of your residents has an illness or an injury, you should inform the RHD on duty so that their needs and accommodations can be met. If you know that the resident is an athlete and has some sort of head injury, athlete or not, just let the RHD on duty know so that plans can be made to check up on the student. If you happen to find out that they are in your zone, that would also be a great time just to take the role of serving that student and definitely be checking up on them and seeing if you can meet their needs, help meet their needs, or if you can find a way that arrangements can be made to have their needs met. If students need a ride to an appointment, arrangements can totally be made through the RLS or student services.
Oh no! There's a storm! It's a tornado! It's a tsunami! It's severe weather! So what are you to do as an RA with severe weather? So this is something that we're going to be talking more about in seat orientation because it is dorm specific and we'll have specific plans for that and escape plans and all that kind of thing. But the biggest thing as an RA during severe weather is to be calm. People are going to be looking to you as someone that has the answers. Even if you don't, you gotta act like you do and keep a calm face. The safest place in severe weather is the lowest part of a building away from windows.
So just to briefly cover fire drill procedures, each building has a different plan. Just remember that you need to stay calm and that procedures for each building are posted on the backs of the doors for every room. We will further cover and go over this information during in-seat orientation.
So in severe weather or a fire drill, like we said earlier, there are going to be specific things for specific dorms. So we'll talk more about that in-seat orientation. But a couple things that are all around the same in a fire drill situation or severe weather, the RAs on duty and any RAs in the building should help out as much as possible. It doesn't matter if you are working in the office or hanging out in your room watching Netflix. You should jump in this kind of situation. You should check each room in your zone for residents and help them evacuate safely, and check with your director on what to do next in this kind of situation.
In the dorms, there are different things that are prohibited, and here is some following items that are prohibited from residence halls. Firearms, and I'll let you kind of read the parentheses and the different things that are included with that. Explosives and fireworks of any sort. Bows and arrows. However, the archery team members are exempt from this as long as the arrows are in a case at all times. Hunting knives, above 5 inches, drugs and alcohol prohibited, tobacco products, the use of skateboards, scooters, bikes, hoverboards, any of that is restricted inside residence halls. I know that some people definitely like to bring their scooters inside last year. Pets are not allowed, however, arrangements can be made for service animals and support animals. Candles, candle warmers, and tart warmers are not allowed. Hot plates, toaster ovens, crock pots, any other type of cooking apparatus that is an open heat source is not allowed. However, you can have an actual toaster. Personal routers are not allowed, and exercise equipment is neither.
So, conduct in the residence halls. I'll go ahead and tell you, people are not always going to act the way you want them to. They're not always going to have perfect conduct, and that's part of your job as an RA to correct them. But there are certain things that you as an RA can handle by yourself, and there are things that you should call an RHD for. So some of the things that you need to call an RHD for, if something occurs that is a violation of any law, if there is mischievous behavior, tampering with security and safety devices, making false reports of emergency situations, tampering with locks, or harassment. Those are more serious things, and you should call an RHD immediately. Some things that should be corrected by an RA: use of obscene language, any student making an excessive display of affection, gambling, stealing, cheating, and lying, dangerous horseplay, any conduct which might be deemed to be hazing, or lewd or indecent conduct. And also with this, an RHD can still be called after the fact, but an RA is responsible for handling that and can correct that on their own.
So as an RA, you will help your dorm complete health and safety inspections. So during health and safety inspections, also known as HSIs, they will happen every other week. You will have a schedule that will be sent out at the start of the year, and so you will be able to let your residents know, and you'll be able to keep track of when health and safety inspections happen. During HSIs, here are the following things that you will check for. You'll check trash cans for how full they are, fridges and freezers for spoiled food and mold, smoke detectors to make sure that they're working, windows that they're not broken and the screen is still intact. You'll make sure that the locks are still working properly so that the safety of your students can be ensured, and you will check for stored food that is properly stored.
Let's talk about open house. So if you didn't know, open house is when a member of the opposite gender can go past the lobby of the opposite gender's residence hall. So when guys can go into girls' residence halls and girls can go into guys. These are only times when RAs are physically sitting in the office. So part of your part as an RA, you'll be walking halls, and during open house, you will check in on all the open house guests. So while you do this, you will look into the room and see if the guests and hosts are following the UC guidelines for open house. So something I'd like to do is called the walk and look. It's not really called that, I just made it up just now, but I would walk, and as I was walking, I would look over so I didn't have to stop and see if they're messing around, doing anything crazy. If not, keep walking. If they are, you gotta stop. So if they are doing nothing wrong, then nothing needs to be said. Obviously, you can move on to the next room. If something is happening, any kind of misconduct, you have to correct the behavior and log it for later. If they don't comply with your corrections, then contact the on-duty RHD.
Lobby hours are open from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. Friday through Saturday. So during that time, anybody can be in the lobby. However, after lobby hours, only residents of that specific dorm are allowed in the lobby.
So next we'll talk about overnight guests. So if someone brings someone else to the dorm to spend the night, what you need to do for this is call the director pretty much. We'll talk more about this in in-seat orientation, but you will go through a check-in process with them so that we have notification that they are in the dorm and that we know who is in the dorm at all times. But you will call the director for that and walk them through a check-in process.
ESAs, also known as emotional support animals and service animals, are allowed at the University of the Cumberlands. Pets, however, are not. If you have an ESA or a service animal that needs to be accommodated at the school, that's totally allowed. You will just need to contact Jacob Ratliff, and he will be able to further get you information that you need so that your pet can be accommodated. This will definitely be much further explained in in-seat orientation.
So lastly, we'll talk about COVID-19. You guys obviously know has completely changed a lot of things lately. So with policies and procedures, they are also subject to change because of coronavirus. So as RAs, please just be fluid, flexible, and just willing to work with us and change at a moment's notice.